Hey there guys, I am the Six Machine and welcome back to another Warhammer video. So today has been a rather exciting day because we have finally had officially some rules confirmed for the latest Primarch to be hitting the battlefields of Warhammer 40k, and that is of course the Red Angel himself, Angron of the World Eaters. We did have a few leaks for him before, but now it looks as though a lot of those have been, at least as far as we know, confirmed based on what we are seeing here, and so there may well be a few other things like the rumoured blood tithe style mechanic that they have, as well as possible army point costs that now do look to be at least somewhat certain, for better or for worse, depending on what you thought of those points costs and the sort of army roster. But today, of course, is the day we are going to be looking at the rules for the big man himself, and GW have very kindly shown off not only his stat line, but some incredibly potent weapons that he will be bringing to bear, as well as a unique rule that he will be bringing to the battlefield as well. And starting off with his stat line, it is a suitably beefy one. He does have weapon skill 2 as you would expect. He's got a whopping strength 9 base, toughness 7, 18 wounds and a 2-up save to keep him alive. So he's not the tankiest model out there. T7, 18 wounds and a 2-up save, although that sounds pretty good, isn't actually all that amazing in the current state of 9th edition, and if your opponent does want him dead, they really will quite easily be able to focus him down if they dedicate a good amount of shooting into him. But the important thing about Angron is that you really do want him to be dead if you are facing him, because if you leave him alive, he is going to tear up your entire army. He has got an insane 12 attacks to swing into your opponent, and he is going to be reaching your enemy's battle line incredibly fast because his base speed is an even more insane 16 inches. So he is faster than most armies' biker units, and he can, without any other buffs at all, get a potential turn 1 charge across the entire 24-inch no man's land. So if you don't deal with him, and if you don't manage to kill him, that could potentially be what is essentially 12 las cannon hits straight into your key units, again potentially on turn 1. But of course, it isn't just 12 las cannon hits, because it does of course get even better. His unique weapons, the sword Seminarius and his axe Spine Grinder, are a genuinely terrifying combination of weapons. They allow you, as we see with most big models now, to swing either with a slash or a sweep profile. The slash hits at strength +5, so it's strength 14 all told, -4 AP, and a very juicy D3 +3 damage. So that means with his 12 attacks, that is a potential 72 damage in one combat phase. Yep. And on average, he will one-shot even a Dominus class Knight chassis with some damage to spare. So he really will go after your opponent's toughest, scariest units and just delete them in one single combat phase. He is so unbelievably good in melee. And if you thought you could maybe tie him up with a load of chaff, then the sweep profile, it's still a really good strength user, so it's still swinging at strength 9, but it is -3 AP and 1 damage. But unlike the usual double the attacks for each attack, or double the hits for each attack, you make 3 hit rolls for each attack with this. So that is 36 swings from Angron in the sweep profile. And that is at strength 9, -3 AP, 1 damage, easily going to clear through 20 orc boys or 30 odd guardsmen. And they've done a really nice graphic, which you can see on your screen now, which shows just how many guardsmen he will be killing in a single combat phase. So it is going to be almost impossible to bog down Angron with just weight of bodies, because he's just going to cleave through them all in a single turn anyway. They also show off today one of his special rules, Wrathful Presence, which is a choice of 3 abilities which you can choose Angron to push out to his fellow World Eaters in an aura around him. Infectious Rage gives core units within 6 inches an extra attack for when you really need your entire army to just blender your opponent's army in one turn. Glorious Bloodletting gives World Eater units within 6 inches reroll 1s in melee. Notably, this isn't just core, so this will affect all of your World Eater units, so there could well be some really nasty combos to be had there based on what we see in the upcoming codex. And then finally, there is Righteous Slaughter. And Righteous Slaughter is, I think, honestly a really terrifying ability to have. It means that enemy units within 6 inches cannot fall back. And with Angron's large base size, that could well mean a good 15 or 16 inches of enemy real estate where your opponent just cannot fall back and cannot retreat from your crazy bloodthirsty soldiers. And against armies like Tau or Eldari, where they may want to try and fall back and shoot or fall back and zip away from you, that is a terrifying prospect. It even means that you can charge your army in, stop stuff retreating, and keep most of your army safe from enemy fire for a turn, because they won't be able to fall back and then light you up with all of their range units that have just stayed outside of your charge range. It is a really strong ability, both offensively and defensively, I think. And whilst I think it's a tiny bit more nuanced than just giving reroll 1s in melee or +1 attack, I do think it is arguably the strongest of the 3 abilities that you can choose. Depending on your matchup, if you are up against the right army, this really could cripple your opponent and allow you to effectively shut down your opponent's entire gun line until you can just cut through it and then move on to the next target. It is a really strong, really underrated ability, I think. So that is it for Angron at the moment. He is looking incredibly strong, and if the leaks are right based on this, it looks like they probably are, and he does come in at the rumoured 360 point price tag. I do think he is going to be a very, very, very tempting prospect for Khorne players to bring. He is admittedly quite squishy with only T7, 18 wounds, and as far as we know, at least I think, he doesn't have any wound cap or damage ignoring style rules. But still, if and when he gets into combat, he can very easily make his entire points back in just one glorious turn of carnage. And I think if nothing else, at 360 points, he's going to be an absolute monster of a distraction carnifex that your opponent is pretty much going to dedicate all the firepower they have into trying to put him down so that he doesn't reach their battle lines. So from that point of view, I am really excited to see him on the battlefield. He is maybe not going to be a completely top tier meta pick, but I do think in most games he is going to be incredibly strong at just forcing your opponent to focus their fire on this one model so the rest of your army, and at only 360 points, you're still going to have a sizable chunk of your army not wrapped up in him, you know, to go around the battlefield, to get into combats where they need to grab objectives or do whatever secondaries you want. And your opponent will just be trying to get down Angron because they know if they don't, pretty much their entire battle line is going to be scuppered. So I do think he has a lot of potential from that point of view, and I really cannot wait to see him rampaging across the battlefields when the codex does come out. But as always, what do you think? Do you like his rules, or were you hoping for something a bit different or a bit more? Do you think 36 attacks is maybe a bit much for a single model? Let me know what you think down in the comments below, and as always, thank you very much for watching. Please do like and subscribe for more Warhammer content from me, but until next time, I'll catch you later, guys.